Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the top 10 easiest cities to get startup funding. If you're an entrepreneur looking to launch your next big idea, you won't want to miss this countdown. We're talking bustling startup scenes with supportive communities and, of course, investors with deep pockets and a thirst for the next big thing. In some of these cities, the competition for startup funding is 30% lower than in major hubs like Silicon Valley. In fact, some of these cities have seen as much as a 25% increase in venture capital funding over the past year, while maintaining a lower competition rate. Additionally, angel groups in these cities are more likely to invest in early-stage startups, with a 40% higher success rate compared to larger markets. We'll explore what makes each city unique, from its industry strengths to its funding opportunities. Number 10 might surprise you. Orlando, Florida is sneaking onto the startup scene with an energy that's more Silicon Valley than Space Mountain. Sure, Orlando is known for its world-renowned attractions, but beneath the surface, a vibrant ecosystem for startups is bubbling up, especially in, you guessed it, entertainment, tech, and gaming. We're talking virtual reality experiences that rival the wildest roller coasters and gamified solutions for just about everything. And why not? Orlando knows a thing or two about immersive experiences. Take, for example, a local startup called Immersive Tech that's revolutionizing theme park experiences with cutting-edge tech. Immersive Tech is creating interactive, gamified experiences that transform how visitors engage with attractions. And trust me, the lines between the real and virtual worlds are blurring faster than you can say FastPass. With a startup density of just 0.2%, Orlando offers a fertile ground for new ventures without the cutthroat competition of larger tech hubs. But Orlando isn't just about the fun and games, it's also about serious investment. The city has seen a surge in funding opportunities, particularly for startups that align with its tourism-centric economy. In fact, Orlando ranks in the top 10% of U.S. cities for startup funding with relatively low competition. And with the University of Central Florida churning out a steady stream of tech talent, there's no shortage of bright minds ready to turn innovative ideas into reality. But it's not just the universities. Initiatives like the Orlando Tech Council are fostering a collaborative spirit, connecting startups with mentors, resources, and, yes, funding. Orlando boasts a 20% higher success rate for startups compared to the national average. Another prime example of Orlando's startup success is Red Giant Entertainment, a comic book company that started small, and with the help of local investors, blossomed into a major player in the entertainment industry. So, if you're an entrepreneur with a groundbreaking idea in entertainment tech, gaming, or any other sector, Orlando might just be your launching pad. With a 15% lower competition rate than other major cities, your chances of success are even higher. Because in this city, innovation isn't just encouraged, it's celebrated. Coming in at number 9 is a city that's no stranger to big business, but is quickly making a name for itself in the startup world. Cincinnati, Ohio, a city with a legacy built on consumer goods giants like Procter & Gamble, is now proving that it's not just about selling soap and shampoo. Cincinnati might not be the first city that pops into your head when you think startup hub, but don't let that fool you. Beneath its Midwestern charm lies a fertile ground for innovation, especially in consumer goods, logistics, and healthcare. With a startup density of just 0.2%, Cincinnati offers a unique advantage for new businesses. But what truly sets Cincinnati apart is its tight-knit entrepreneurial community. Here, founders aren't just competing, they're collaborating, supporting each other, and sharing valuable insights. It's like a small town, but instead of gossiping over fences, they're brainstorming the next billion-dollar idea. And this collaborative spirit extends to the investor community. Cincinnati boasts a network of investors who are eager to support local talent and see their city thrive. It's a place where handshakes still mean something, and relationships matter. With over 50% of startups receiving local funding, the competition here is notably low, making it an ideal place for new ventures. Cincinnati doesn't just talk the talk, it walks the walk when it comes to supporting its startups. The city boasts a robust infrastructure designed to nurture and propel new businesses to success. Take the Brandery, for example. This nationally recognized accelerator program has a knack for attracting seed funding and mentoring consumer-focused startups, setting them on a path to early success. And let's not forget about Startup Cincy Week. an annual event that brings together the city's brightest minds, industry leaders, and of course, investors with checkbooks at the ready. The Kauffman Foundation, a leading voice in entrepreneurship, consistently ranks Cincinnati among the top cities for startup activity. And it's no surprise. With a supportive ecosystem, a collaborative spirit, and a healthy dose of Midwestern work ethic, Cincinnati is a city where startups can truly thrive. Plus, with fewer than 1,000 startups, the competition is relatively low, giving new businesses a better chance to stand out. Okay, so we're talking startup funding, and you might be thinking Silicon Valley or New York, maybe Austin if you're feeling adventurous. But hold on to your hats, because number 8 on our list might surprise you: Kansas City. Yeah, you heard me right. Kansas City is more than just barbecue and jazz, though those are both excellent reasons to visit. Seriously, the barbecue is life-changing. But beyond the delicious food, Kansas City is quietly becoming a powerhouse for startups, especially in fields like ag tech and logistics. See, Kansas City has this really cool blend of Midwestern practicality and serious tech ambition. They've got the Kauffman Foundation, which is like the startup fairy godmother waving its magic wand and making entrepreneurs' dreams come true. Well, maybe not literally, but they do have initiatives like 1 Million Cups, which is like speed dating for startups and investors. And here's the thing about Kansas City. People are just really nice there, like genuinely friendly and supportive. So you're not just getting funding, you're getting a whole community of people rooting for you to succeed. And here's what you need to know. Kansas City has 30% fewer startups per capita compared to Silicon Valley, meaning less competition for funding. So why is Kansas City such a great place to launch a startup? Well, it has a reputation for being a fantastic testing ground for new ideas. Also, big companies like Sprint and Cerner have a presence in Kansas City, and they're known to give local startups a helping hand, with things like investment and pilot programs. And let's not forget about the cost of living, which is significantly lower than those coastal tech hubs. I mean, you could probably buy a whole house in Kansas City for the price of a parking space in San Francisco. Kansas City has some pretty impressive success stories. Companies like Pay It, which is making paying your taxes less painful, and Bloom, which helps you manage your 401k so you can actually retire someday, both started in Kansas City. And they managed to raise millions in venture funding, proving that you don't need a fancy zip code to attract serious investors. Next up on our list, we're heading just a little east to another Missouri gem, St. Louis. Now you might know St. Louis for its iconic arch, its baseball team, or maybe even its toasted ravioli. But what you might not know is that St. Louis is quietly becoming a hub for startups, especially in the fields of healthcare, ag tech, and biosciences. I know, right? Who would have thought that a city known as the home of the blues would also be at the forefront of cutting-edge technology? But hey, that's what makes this list so interesting, right? It's full of surprises. One of the things that makes St. Louis so great for startups is its incredible network of incubators and accelerators like BioSTL and Cortex Innovation Community. These places are like startup boot camps, providing everything from lab space and mentorship to connections with venture capitalists who are just itching to throw money at the next big thing. And let's not forget about the research institutions. St. Louis is home to Washington University, which is, kind of a big deal in the world of academia. And they're not just churning out brilliant minds. They're also actively partnering with startups to help bring those brilliant ideas to life. According to recent data, St. Louis has one of the lowest levels of startup competition in the country, making it an ideal place for new ventures to thrive. So, how much money are we talking about here? Well, according to a recent report, St. Louis startups have collectively raised over $1 billion in recent years. And that's not just a testament to the quality of the startups themselves, it's also a testament to the city's commitment to supporting innovation. They're not just throwing money at any old idea, though. St. Louis investors are looking for startups that are tackling big problems in areas like healthcare, agriculture, and technology. One company that's doing just that is Benson Hill, an ag tech firm that's focused on developing more sustainable crops. Because we need to figure out how to feed a growing population without destroying the planet in the process. And Benson Hill is a perfect example of how St. Louis supports groundbreaking tech. They've received substantial funding from local investors and have formed partnerships with key players in the agriculture industry. Interestingly, St. Louis has one of the lowest levels of startup competition among major U.S. cities, making it an attractive destination for new ventures. This low competition environment is a key factor in why so many startups are choosing to set up shop in St. Louis. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading south to Richmond, Virginia. Known for its rich history and beautiful architecture, Richmond is also becoming a hotbed for startups in fintech, logistics, and cybersecurity. It's not the first place you think of for cutting-edge tech. Its proximity to Washington, D.C. is a huge plus. Startups can collaborate with government agencies, opening doors to federal grants and contracts. Richmond has a thriving startup scene. Programs like Startup Virginia provide guidance and mentorship. With lower competition compared to major tech hubs, Richmond offers a unique advantage for new startups. In fact, recent data shows that Richmond has 30% fewer startups per capita than cities like San Francisco and New York. But here's the thing that really sets Richmond apart: the cost of living. It's significantly lower than those other tech hubs we've been talking about. Like, you could probably rent a 3-bedroom apartment in Richmond for the price of a shoebox in San Francisco. And that lower cost of living means startups in Richmond have a longer runway. They can stretch their funding further, which gives them more time to experiment, to iterate, and to find that product market fit that's so elusive. One company that's found success in Richmond is WealthForge, a fintech company that's making investment management less of a headache for everyone involved. They've managed to scale their business and raise funding within the Richmond ecosystem, proving that you don't need to be in Silicon Valley to attract serious investors. So, there you have it, Richmond, Virginia, a city with a rich history, a vibrant culture, and a burgeoning startup scene that's definitely worth paying attention to. With a startup density that's 40% lower than major tech hubs, Richmond offers less competition and more opportunities for new businesses to thrive. So you're a fintech startup, right? You've got this brilliant idea for an app that makes fractional investing as easy as ordering takeout. Where do you go? Silicon Valley? Nah, too predictable. New York? Please, you'd be drowning in a sea of identical pitch decks. No, my friend. You pack your bags and head south to Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, as you may know, is a banking behemoth. Did you know that Charlotte has the second largest banking center in the US? It's like the Wall Street of the South, only with better barbecue. They're also looking for the next big thing in finance technology, and that could be you. With over 90% of startups receiving initial funding within their first year, the competition is less fierce. The city's also got a thriving ecosystem of accelerators, incubators, angel groups, and venture capitalists. In fact, Charlotte's startup ecosystem has grown by over 30% in the last 5 years. And because Charlotte's startup scene is still relatively young, you won't have to fight tooth and nail for every scrap of funding. With fewer than 500 startups, the competition is significantly lower compared to major hubs. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, Charlotte sounds great and all, but isn't it, a bit buttoned up? And sure, Charlotte's got its share of suits and ties, but don't let that fool you. Underneath that polished exterior beats the heart of a city that's hungry for new ideas. Charlotteans are also, dare I say, ridiculously nice, like hold the door open for you even though you're a full block away nice. And that southern hospitality extends to the startup world too. People here are genuinely eager to help each other succeed, whether it's offering advice, making introductions, or just grabbing a beer after a long day of pitching to investors. And let's not forget about the cost of living. Compared to those coastal startup hubs, Charlotte's a bargain. You can actually afford to, live like a human being while you're building your billion-dollar company. So if you're looking for a city with a strong financial foundation, a supportive startup community, and a healthy dose of Southern charm, Charlotte, North Carolina should be at the top of your list. Just maybe pack a few extra shirts. It gets humid down there. With a startup density of just 0.5%, Charlotte offers plenty of room for new ventures to thrive without intense competition. Portland, Oregon, land of craft breweries, indie bookstores, and apparently a ridiculously thriving startup scene. Who knew, right? I mean, we all know Portland's got this whole quirky, offbeat vibe going on. It's like the city collectively decided to embrace its inner hipster and never looked back. But beneath that veneer of vintage flannel and artisanal kombucha lies a city that's serious about innovation, particularly when it comes to sustainability and social impact. See, Portlanders care about the planet. They care about ethical consumption, and they're willing to put their money where their mouths are, which is great news for startups working in green tech, sustainable food systems, and other world-changing industries. Portland's also got this incredible network of incubators, accelerators, angel groups, and venture capital firms that are all about supporting startups that are doing good while doing well. Oregon Venture Fund, for example, has a long history of investing in companies that are tackling big problems, from renewable energy to affordable healthcare. And then there's the talent pool. Portland's teeming with creative, entrepreneurial folks who are passionate about making a difference. With a startup density of just 0.5%, Portland offers a less competitive environment compared to tech giants like San Francisco. So if you're looking for a city that's as inspiring as it is innovative, Portland might just be your new home away from home. And let's not forget the role of angel groups in this city's startup scene. Angel Oregon, for instance, brings together local investors to fund promising early-stage companies. These groups provide not just capital, but also mentorship and networking opportunities, which are invaluable for new entrepreneurs. Now let's talk about Algo. You might not have heard of them, but they're a great example of the kind of impact-driven startup that thrives in Portland. Algo's mission is to make the world more accessible for plus-size people. They have this app that crowdsources information about the accessibility of public spaces, like restaurants, stores, and even public restrooms. And guess what? Algo got its start in Portland, a city that's known for its inclusivity and acceptance. They were able to secure funding from local investors who believed in their mission and saw the potential of their idea. And that's really the beauty of Portland's startup ecosystem. It's not just about making money, it's about making a difference. Oh, and did I mention that Portland is beautiful? Like, ridiculously, jaw-droppingly beautiful? You've got the mountains, the forests, the coast, all within a stone's throw of the city. So even if your startup isn't quite profitable yet, at least you can enjoy the view. All in all, Portland's a pretty amazing place to launch a startup, especially if you're passionate about sustainability, social impact, and maybe, just maybe, wearing some of your old flannel shirts. In fact, Portland has one of the lowest levels of startup competition among major U.S. cities, making it an ideal place for new ventures. All right, entrepreneurs, we're cruising into the top 3 with Pittsburgh. Once synonymous with steel mills and that football team that wears a lot of black and yellow, Pittsburgh has undergone a remarkable transformation. It's now a vibrant hub of innovation and entrepreneurship. At the heart of this is Carnegie Mellon University, a top-ranked university for computer science and robotics. CMU churns out brilliant graduates, many of whom stay to start companies or join the tech workforce. And it's not just CMU, the city's full of incubators and venture capital firms. Angel groups also play a crucial role, providing early-stage funding and mentorship to budding entrepreneurs. With a startup density of just 0.5 per 1,000 people, the competition here is relatively low. So yeah, Pittsburgh's not messing around. Now, I know what you're thinking, John. Pittsburgh sounds kind of serious, like all work and no play. And sure, Pittsburghers are a hard-working bunch, but they also know how to have a good time. This is a city with a rich history, a thriving arts scene, and more craft breweries per capita than I can count. And speaking of things that are per capita, Pittsburgh also has more bridges than any other city in the world. Over 400, in fact. Which is great for getting around, I guess. But it also kind of symbolizes Pittsburgh's ability to connect the dots, to bridge the gap between its industrial past and its tech-driven future. But let's get back to those startups. Remember Duolingo, the language learning app that's so addictive it should probably be illegal. Yeah, that started in Pittsburgh too, and they managed to raise over $1 billion in funding, proving that Pittsburgh's got the capital to back its entrepreneurial ambitions. So if you're looking for a city with a world-class university, a supportive startup ecosystem, and a healthy dose of Midwestern charm, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania should definitely be on your radar. Just brush up on your Super Bowl trivia. Pittsburgh is still Pittsburgh. This city ranks among the top cities with the least competitive startup environments, making it easier to stand out and secure investment. Number 2 is Minneapolis, Minnesota. You might think of snow when you hear Minneapolis, and yeah, they've got that. But they've also got a startup scene hotter than a Minnesota summer. Their booming health tech and fintech scene is impressive. With the Mayo Clinic lending its expertise, it's no wonder. Plus, venture firms like Loop Ventures are finding the next big thing. If you're into healthcare or fintech, Minneapolis might just be your new home. Just, invest in a good coat. With a startup competition level 20% lower than the national average, Minneapolis offers a unique advantage. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, all this talk about startups is great, but what about my need for a decent work-life balance, my family in a city that doesn't make me want to pull my hair out? Fear not, my friend, because Minneapolis has you covered there too. See, Minneapolis consistently ranks high on those quality of life lists. You know the ones: parks, safety, good schools. And this isn't just a coincidence. It's all connected. When people are happy and healthy, they tend to do their best work. And when they do their best work, well, startups thrive. And speaking of thriving, let's talk about Bright Health. This healthcare startup exploded onto the scene and managed to raise over $1 billion in funding. $1 billion. That's not just a testament to their awesome idea. It's a testament to Minneapolis's ability to support its startups with serious cash. So to sum it up, Minneapolis has the brains, the heart, and the funding to help your startup dreams take flight. Plus, you can enjoy a craft beer by a lake when you're done with work. Not a bad deal, right? Minneapolis has one of the lowest startup competition rates in the country. Studies show that startups in low competition cities have a 20% higher success rate. So if you're looking for a place where you can thrive without the cutthroat competition, Minneapolis is the place to be. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the #1 easiest city to get startup funding is Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is more than just a research hub. It's in the heart of the Research Triangle, with Duke and UNC Chapel Hill, but it's also a thriving startup scene. Brilliant minds and innovative ideas flourish here. Supported by investors, mentors, and fellow entrepreneurs, Raleigh boasts a 20% lower competition rate for startups compared to major tech hubs. That's Raleigh in a nutshell. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, all this sounds great, but show me the money. Well, my skeptical friend, let's talk numbers. Raleigh startups have collectively raised over $2 billion in the last decade. That's not a fluke, folks. That's a pattern of success that's hard to ignore. And for a prime example of that success, look no further than Pendo. This software company, which helps businesses understand their users, because apparently we're all a mystery, secured over $200 million in funding, and they did it right here in Raleigh. So what's the takeaway here? Raleigh isn't just a city with a lot of potential. It's a city that's already realizing that potential in a big way. It's a place where innovation and investment go hand in hand, and where startups have all the resources they need to flourish. With fewer than 1,000 startups, Raleigh offers a less crowded market for new entrepreneurs. Just, maybe bring a basketball and your high tops. It is North Carolina, after all. And there you have it, folks. The top 10 easiest cities to get startup funding. From the sun-drenched streets of Orlando to the bustling tech hubs of Raleigh and Minneapolis, these cities offer the support, resources, and yes, the funding you need to turn your startup dreams into a reality. And hey, if you need a little inspiration along the way, you know where to find us. Until next time, have a good one.